Okay, good morning, year 10s. So in today's lesson, I wanted to do a marked task with you, just testing if you've understood the last two lessons on adaptation and like the key words of the topic that we are on now, which is ecology. So this is the worksheet that I gave you up to here, and I would like you to fill it in and take a picture of it when you're finished and upload it onto ePraise. If you ever have any troubles with uploading on ePraise, just message me and I'll give you my email address so you can maybe email it. It might be easier. But I wanted to just kind of help you out a bit and make sure you understand what you're doing. So this part is about adaptation, interdependence, and competition. And the first question is saying, the photograph below shows the great crested newt, also called the, let me get this right, Triturus cristallus. Okay, it is found in large ponds with lots of plants but no fish. Okay, so it lives in a pond. I'm just going to highlight that. Triturus cristallus feeds off invertebrates and tadpoles mainly. So it feeds on invertebrates and tadpoles mainly. So I'm going to highlight that because it's important to know. It is active at night and spends the day at the bottom of the pond or in vegetation. So I'm going to highlight it's active at night and spends the day at the bottom of the pond or in vegetation. Predators include foxes, rats, cats, and badgers. So the predators, I'm just going to highlight the word predator. Okay, question 1A is asking or telling us, using the information provided, explain one behavioral adaptation which would enable Triturus cristallus to survive. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is we are explaining, and the key word here is behavioral adaptation. So hopefully you remember what that means. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. So the behavioral adaptation is a way that the organism behaves, okay? It says it in the name. So for example, it could be using tools, it's hunting behavior, or if it's a plant, the direction which it grows to get the most sunlight. So that's the way it behaves in order to survive. So obviously, we've never studied these organisms in class, and we're not going to. There's so many organisms to talk about in class that we wouldn't be able to get through everything. So in exams, they give you this information in the question if it's a new organism that they're introducing, and you're literally just using the information here to answer it. So which one of these so which one of these things in the text is a behavioral adaptation? And because it says explain, you're going to say why that adaptation is important for survival. Why is it for survival? So what is the behavioral adaptation and why is it important to survive? So I'm going to leave this up to you to figure out what it is. If you read it, I'm pretty sure you can figure out what it is. Okay, so how does it behave in order to survive and, not to be eaten? So think about that. I'm going to, so this question is out of 2 marks. So ideally you would use 2 minutes to answer it, but feel free to use 3 or 4, okay? So pause the video now. Okay, so the next question, 1B, says complete the table to name structural adaptations which can be seen in the photograph and how these enable Triturus I can never say it, cristallus to survive in its natural environment. And this is out of 8 marks. So you're naming 4 structural adaptations, and it's the structural adaptations that you can see on the picture. So you have to look at the picture and see what makes what you think stands out to you, and any of the features that you think are important for it to survive. So talking about its survival. And again, because we're talking about structural adaptation, hopefully you remember what that means. So a structural adaptation is an adaptation in terms of the body form. So for example, it might have a streamlined shape which would help it to quickly swim, so it's good for speed. So streamlined is usually this kind of shape. So it has little resistance when it comes to wind, so it can quickly, so it can gain speed and it doesn't get slowed down. Or another structural adaptation for plants, for example, would be having a long stem. So if a plant has got a long stem, it can grow higher and therefore get more sunlight, doesn't it? Or another one for animals that are living in cold condition would be having thick fur to keep them warm, or a lot of fat. So look at this picture. I'm going to maybe give you a few hints, and think about what the structural adaptation is and why you think it's important for its survival. So I can see, for example, that it's got eyes that are on the side of his head. So eyes are on the side. Okay, another thing I can see, it's got quite large feet, doesn't it? So why do you think having large feet is going to help him? Or her, who knows? And remember the streamlined shape? I think I can see it here. So it's thinner at the front and then kind of widens a bit, so its shape is streamlined. So remember, what did I say about streamlined shapes? Why is that an important feature? The last one I can see, actually it's not the last one, I can see that it's quite dark. So why is a dark color good for him? So look at his environment. So if you can see anything else, it's up to you to write about it. So write down what the structural adaptation is and how it helps it to survive. Okay, so this is 8 marks. So I would suggest 8 minutes, 1 minute per mark. So pause the video here and answer this question. And obviously it says complete the table, so you either print it or you just draw the table out in your book. Okay, so 8 minutes, pause the video. Okay, question 1C says, an ideal habitat for a population of great crested newts is where many ponds are found close to each other, separated by grassland. So many ponds for the habitat. So remember, habitat means where organisms live. And a population is a lot of organisms of the same species living together. And then it says, suggest the benefit of having several ponds close to each other. So why is that good? And it says suggest. So this is really asking for your opinion. Why do you think it's good to have several ponds close by? So that's one pond, and it says it's got grassland around it, and then you've got another pond there. So why is it good that there's a few of those newts here and a few of those newts here? So one thing you could think about, so imagine you're living in a house and you've got people, like relatives, living really close by. Why do you think it's good to have people living close by? So let's just think about maybe something happening to your house. It's burning down, you know? Why is it good to have people you know living close to you? Okay, so related to the organisms. Obviously, think of other things as well. This is just a silly little example. But yeah, again, this is 3 minutes. So take, it's 3 marks. So take 3 minutes to answer the questions. And the last one is question 1D, which is asking you to describe 3 biotic factors which may affect the population of great crested newts. So you can see how, just a side note, how they keep changing the name. So you know it's the great crested newts, but at the top here they were talking about Tritorius crystallis. That's just the other name that they can use, but make sure you know what they're talking about. Okay, so biotic factor. What does biotic mean? So I'm not going to tell you this one. If you know, that's great. If you don't, look back at lesson number 2 that we've done, because we've talked through all of the keywords that you need to know for this topic, and biotic is one of them. And think about 3 of the biotic factors which will help this population to, which may affect this population of great crested newts. Okay, so again, 3 minutes. So pause the video here, and that is actually the end of the video as well. So we're not doing these questions here, so we've only got that. Okay, so good luck with it. Just once you're finished, make sure you take a picture of it and send it to me. If you have trouble sending it, message me on ePraise, or I'm sure you all have my email address. You can just send it to me there. And make sure you do it on Friday or before, because I want to give you feedback on it for Monday's lesson, or lesson 1 next week, and we'll have to do it over the weekend, so make sure you do send it as soon as you can, so I can give everyone appropriate feedback, so you can see where you can improve, what you've done right, and so on. Okay? Right, so have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!